Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the home prices explode higher since the year 2000, going nowhere but up. And that is in conjunction with the interest rates dropping nonstop. Now, as you know, this year interest rates have been on a historic tear going up. And we are seeing the collapse of some of the biggest real estate markets in the entire world. That's where we're going to be looking into. We're going to take a deep dive into the rise and fall of the Canadian real estate market. That's what we're doing a deep dive on today. Let's join in. Let's take a look at the first article for the day, guys. We think it's really important that you take a look at this. This is the article. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to make in order to afford an average home in 9 Ontario cities. So Ontario is where we are based. Now, it is some of the most expensive real estate on planet Earth. Now, we're going to take a look at this a little bit more deep dive. One thing that I find, it says Ontario is unfortunately one of the least affordable provinces to buy in Canada. Now, in Canada, it's always neck and neck between Vancouver and Toronto. So we're going to be taking a look at where that is. Now, for as far as immigration, when they come to Canada, 40% come to Toronto, 40% go to Vancouver, which is the number 1 and 2 countries, cities in Canada, and then a bunch of smaller cities. But let's take a look into this a little bit deep dive. Average home price is 1.2 million as of September. And in Canada, it's Toronto, sorry, 1 point, let's call it 1 million. Now that is down because it used to be 1.2 million in Toronto, and now it has gone back down to 1.1. So we see the softening of prices already. Where we're seeing the biggest difference is the want properties. If you're in a 5-bedroom, 5-bath property worth $3 million, you're already going to be down 30-40% on that property. Up in the cottages area, the things that people want, the toys in their life, we're seeing that. But if you come down that scale into 1 and 2 bedroom condos and smaller townhomes, the homes that everybody downsizes to during rough economic times, those properties are up 10%. Good lesson for all of us to help keep your capital safe and preserve your family's wealth. Let's jump right back into this story then. So if we look at Vancouver, $1.2 million property, but look at here, income required for an average home, $200,000 income. Now, this is where the problem is the average median household income, $98,000. So the average person is not going to be able to buy a property. But check here, max affordability of household income. So the max they could get is $555,000. Now this comes to be the problem that we're going to be facing. We're going to be looking at some more examples of this in just a second. But before, in 2021, when the interest rate was very low, you would be able to get a rate at 5x your salary. Let's take an example. You make $100,000 a year, you will get a $500,000 mortgage. Today, because the interest rates are so high, we are seeing banks clamp down and are only willing to give you 2.5 or 3 times your salary. So now you may only get 3 times. So you get $100,000, you may only get $250,000 mortgage available to you. If the average home is 1.2 million and the bank will only give you 250,000, where are you going to come up with the other $950,000 to put down on a home? People just don't have it. And that's what we're seeing now is homes are sitting on the market for 100 days, 200 days, 300 days on the market. We're seeing that all the time. Things are not selling and people are being very stubborn about their prices. So we're seeing them sit on the market a lot longer. Let's do a little bit more deep dive into the individual cities. If we look at Vancouver, I think this is very telling. The max affordability of a household income is $555,000, which you notice is 5 times what the median household income is. But I can tell you that this has dropped substantially. Toronto, 1.1 million. Income required for a home, $176,000. Now, if we take that into a little bit for ourselves, $176,000, you probably don't know very many people who are making $176,000. Victoria, it's a much smaller city, but this is a very big attracting place It's beautiful over there and no snow. Very rare for Canada to have no snow. So a lot of retirees move there. $157,000 is the income required to have a home. Average home there is $1 million. Now, there are some more affordable areas. As we go down, Windsor, which is a ways, is more affordable. Calgary is very affordable at $500,000. In addition, if you move down, Regina is quite affordable, Thunder Bay, Saskatoon, but these are smaller cities, and a lot of people aren't excited to move to a town that is measured not in millions, but in hundreds of thousands. So we can see the urban centers all are having some issues because prices are very, very, very high. The last thing that I want to show you is this chart. I think this chart is very, very, very telling. Take a look at this chart here on the side. This chart shows you how many times the average household income it takes to buy an average home. If we just go back and look at where we were on that chart just a second ago, please note at what the prices are to earnings. So we can notice here that the average median household income is $100,000, $98,000. And the average price is 1.2 million. In some of these big cities, you're sitting at 11 times, 12 times your salary. Please note here for the average home in Canada in the 80s, in the 90s to 2000, it was always sitting around 3 times your salary. Let's put that in perspective then. If you had a home worth $300,000 and you made $100,000, that would be that relationship, 3 times your salary. If you made $50,000, your home would be $150,000. That seems incredibly reasonable by today's standards. But if we take a look at that now, since 2000, it's gone up and up, up to 4 times your salary, 5, 6, 7, and now it's over 7 times your salary is what you need for an average home in Canada, guys. In Canada, please notice that I'm stressing in Canada. So this is really important for you to know, because in Toronto, you're sitting at places where you're at 11 times your salary, 12 times your salary, and that's the median. There's a lot of areas in Toronto, if you take not the average of the entire city, very expensive areas where we're sitting at 20 times your salary in order to buy a property. This has a massive imbalance, and this is why places like New Zealand, Australia, and Canada are facing some of the worst possible declines coming up in real estate. You guys, we have been hearing about this over and over again, that the interest rate has to be raised up high enough to quell down inflation. And even though you think that inflation has gone crazy right now, what have you seen? Have you seen inflation go down at all? Not at all. Not in Canada, not in the United States, not in any country that is raising their rates. Inflation has not subsided, which means that they have to raise it a lot more in order to put down inflation. Will they be able to do that? I strongly doubt that, but I guess it's going to be a really, really, really interesting next 12 months. So we're going to pay attention to this, and we're going to keep you up to date day by day. If this is the time that you're thinking about going and buying a property, in my opinion, I'm a real estate broker in Toronto, run a whole team here. It is not my time, I don't think, to be buying a property right now. Of course, if you needed to, you have to. But it is not a time to deliberately want to go and buy a property right now. I would be holding off. In fact, if I had a larger property, it would be a time to probably sell that property and rent for a little while and let all this chaos kind of subside and the markets level out. Anyway, I'd like to know what you guys think. Are you staying put? Are you going to buy tomorrow? Are you going to be waiting to see what happens? Anyway, I'm curious to know what you have. Remember, the home prices match the interest rates. You can have a cheap money, an expensive home like we did in 2021, or you can have expensive money or high interest rate and cheap homes. Remember, the last time that we had interest rates sitting at like 20% in the 80s, home prices were only going to be $67,000 or something like that. Really, really inexpensive. So it always goes like that, like a scale. So I'm wondering what you guys are doing. Please leave me a comment. If you guys like any of this stuff, please let me know. Put a comment below. Tell me if you like it. And if there's a subject you want me to cover, let me know too. Please remember to like and subscribe. And maybe, just maybe, send it to one person that you think that this could help. Love you guys. I wish you the best. Keep on crushing it. I'll talk to you on the next video. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like that video, you might like this one and maybe something like that.